Hello and welcome to Is This England, a show where we talk about old England games and ask just how England was this.
Today, we're doing something a little bit different. We're looking back at the first 11 episodes of Is This England, and we are picking an England 11 versus a rest of the world 11.
Stranger, that's what time can do. Baby, you mean everything to me.
Welcome to the show, everybody. Nick, it's something different. We've got a beer, and it's a bit loosey-goosey.
Bit different, isn't it, this time today?
Jazz podding, right? We're just improvising, just go with it, yeah?
Just see how this goes.
Just see how it goes. So the concept for the show is, instead of covering a game today, we're looking back at the first 11 episodes and we are picking a starting 11 for England based across those games and the rest of the world, aka Slugs FC. Dirty little slugs.
Which one, Slugs FC? Let's just clarify that very quickly.
Well, you know, it's those other guys, the foreigners. Sorry.
We haven't had a Brexit mention for a while, have we?
No,
you just nipped that in there. Hi, Ed.
And the format is a little bit loosey-goosey, as we mentioned. We are going to just go with the flow and see how we get on. We're going to start with our respective England 11s. We'll kind of trade them off and then make a combined one. Then we'll do the same for Slugs FC, a.k.a. the rest of the world.
Yep.
I will start.
Go for it.
My goalkeeper, and by the way, for me, England will be playing 4-4-2.
Well done.
In goal, Gordon Banks, Scotland, 1967.
Banks, 67. Okay.
Okay, and my reason for that is, I mean, he let in 3 goals, so it's not vintage Gordon Banks.
You're not really selling it to me so far. Go for it.
It's very difficult to do this, and I tried not to lean too heavily. I tried to get as good a spread as I can across the eras, and I just thought I was going to go with Jordan Pickford because I love him, and I couldn't have gone with David Seaman or any of those guys.
You're just ruling out all my players.
He's Gordon Banks is the main reason I've gone for it. I don't think he even made a save in that game.
There's one from Dennis Law in that game from memory. Do you remember Dennis Law like kind of tries to chip him and being like a right cheeky git, and he makes a very good save actually from memory. So there is a good one in there.
Well, there you go. Nick?
Yeah, so I am picking David Seaman.
So the man who got lobbed by Ronaldinho, or the man who kept England in Euro 2000 with a amazing point-blank save? Because I've tried to pick almost... I know I've discounted myself by picking Banks in a game where he conceded 3 goals, but I've tried to pick a little bit on performance in individual games.
Okay.
So which one are you going for, the lob or the great save, Seaman?
That's the lob, isn't it? No, yeah, it's the great point-blank save, and I think we said at the time, it's actually quite... It's a better save than when you first look at it in normal time, because his hand speed is so good, and to make it actually not go in and to block it out and to push it away as well, it is such a good save when you think about it, because I think it's Christian Daly coming in like an absolute traction engine, and he just does really well. So yeah, I'm picking David Seaman.
Yeah, I mean, just goes to show, just because you got lobbed doesn't mean that you're excluded from a greatest 11. People forget he did a lot of good work outside of the lob.
Definitely, David Seaman, really steady England keeper for 10 plus years, really.
Now, I know that we're shirt perverts and you know, slaves to the formulae. Shall I go right back next then, or shall I mix it up and go left back?
Come on, right back. That's what everyone wants. Is it what the normal, we're doing here?
Right back, Kyle Walker, Croatia.
Kyle Walker, Croatia. Okay,
Kyle Walker from the Croatia 2018 Nations League game, one of the first episodes that we did. He's Kyle Walker. He had a great game, and I don't really have to say that much more. We've spoken at length about what an amazing player he is. We've covered him in games post the first 11. I think the purpose of this episode really is hopefully people who may not have listened to all of the episodes or haven't listened to us at all will go, I want to pick this one and that one to choose from. I mean, what more can you say? Could you ask for a better... Have you picked Kyle Walker?
I've not.
Let's hear it.
I have picked Mick Mills.
I've got something funny to say to you in a couple of minutes.
Go on then.
in a couple of minutes. Why have you picked Mick Mills?
All right. And, right, I picked Mick Mills. I think he was at right back. He was at right back for one of the games. But let's just nip that in there as well, as you say. I just thought he was really, really solid. Inspector Grim himself.
Yeah.
I couldn't not have him in there somewhere. I think he's in the Northern Ireland game where he's playing that position. I think he was just mega, mega solid. He's England captain in one of the games as well. So, Mills is my man.
Now, I told you
Nick
that...
Mills, not Danny Mills. Let's get that in there
I could have
too.
had Danny Mills.
You shouldn't have really.
I told you before we recorded I had a naughty one in there. So my first centre-back choice is Mick Mills.
Mick Mills?
I know. Now, bear with me. I know that he's a right back.
So it's wrong.
So it's wrong. But doesn't he look like a centre-back? You'd trust him at centre-back when he looks that hard?
With a tash as well.
With a tash and the balding head. And that face when he wants to fight. I think he can do a job. And I'm not going to lie, there wasn't a massive amount of great England centre-backs to choose from, especially as I'm trying to get a good spread. So Mick Mills has been selected as right back and centre back. We'll amalgamate these as we go through.
Okay.
But if you want to hear more about Mick, listen back to the Northern Ireland episode. Nick, your first centre back?
My first centre back that I'm picking is Martin Keown. He played in the Scotland 99 game in the first leg, and I thought he was man of the match. Actually, I was very surprised of how well he played, how well he read the game, how quick he was as well, and just hadn't really watched a lot of him in game in real life, really. So I just thought, actually, he really stood out to me.
He was very close to being picked for me, and I don't know why I didn't actually pick him, but he was really great in that game. The first one, right? Did he play both?
He played the first one, and I think he had an injury in training of the following, and then Southgate came in for him, Sir Gareth.
Okay. My second centre back, I think it's going to be the same as yours. Should we say after? So you go 3, 2, 1.
Oh, I don't think we'll have the same one. Then go on. I think you need to go first.
So we're gonna. Okay.
Yeah.
Don't want to do it at the same time.
No, I think we may have different ones.
Jack Charlton.
Jack Charlton, bloody
Scotland
hell.
67, the second episode that we did, he broke his foot and then went up front, but he was playing as a centre-back.
Yeah, that's true.
What a performance. Jack Charlton's big day out, as we say.
It is known as within us, isn't it?
I think he's got to be a 30 as an absolute goldmine starter. If you want to hear the best of Jack Charlton, listen back to the Scotland 1967 episode. So that's 2 players from that era that I've picked so far from the defence in a game that we lost 3-2.
Yeah, we conceded 3 goals at Wembley.
But Jack Charlton did nearly score about 5 goals in that game.
And got one himself.
Yeah, when he got one and nearly scored another 4.
He was so involved, wasn't he, throughout the whole thing? It's so fun to watch back. And you know what I've really enjoyed about doing the podcast is you find these little stories when you go around with England. Like, remember the day that Jack Charlton played up front? It's like a kid's tale, isn't it?
Yeah, so my defence so far is Kyle Walker, Jack Charlton and Mick Mills. Who's your partner at centre-back for Martin Keown?
My partner for Martin Keown is Tony Adams from the same game. Oh. So England win 2-0 in the first leg, and Scotland get a lot of chances, I'm not going to lie. They kind of rip them apart, but I don't think it's ever Adams or Keown that are the problem. It seems to be there's no defence in front of them, and they're constantly tracking back. The fullbacks are okay, but they're being piled on by Scotland. And in the second game, it's kind of like Tony Adams isn't really involved, but he is shouting and he's screaming so much. He's kind of like almost guiding England through that game on his own.
It was a good performance from both centre backs. Fair play. I'm shocked that has everyone. No, I was going to say has everyone bar Kyle Walker, but we got Mick Mills as well. Come from England-Scotland games.
Well, I think that may be ending very soon.
Considering that those games are absolutely awful, like the modern ones, we've had quite a few picks from them already.
And we can also say that behind the scenes, that was a nightmare. Scotland games.
Yeah, oh God. Listener, just listen to what's out there if you want, but it's a labour of love. I'll never be listening to those episodes again.
Just because it was such a strenuous time to record and get them out, wasn't it? Blessed behind the curtain.
Do you want to continue? Do you want to give a left back?
Yep. So my left back is Emlyn Hughes from the Poland 73 game. I actually thought he played very well. I think I called him a Frankenstein made entirely of butchers.
Yeah.
But I thought he actually played well. He seemed to actually play a bit further infield at times as well. And he was kind of underlapping at times for England, getting a lot of balls in and played well. I thought Emlyn Hughes played very well in that game personally.
Fair enough. Okay, mine didn't have the best performance, but it wasn't bad. Ashley Cole, Brazil 2002.
Okay.
Now I know it's partly on reputation there, and I'm partly being a bit of a nerd and wanting to actually get. Kyle Walker and Ashley Cole.
Oh, you want to get your mates in there, do you?
They're not my mates. I mean, if you want to be mates, Kyle Walker and Ashley Cole, just get in touch at isthisenglandpod@gmail.com.
I mean, on one of the previous podcasts that we've not long recorded, you invited the Lotto out on the show.
Yeah.
What's his name? Andy Carroll or something?
Imagine if it just popped up kylewalker@gmail.com, email subject mates, and then oh my God, and then one pops up Ashley Cole free@gmail.com, mates. Yeah, I mean, that's a good fallback pairing for me. He's Kyle Walker and Ashley Cole, but
Yeah.
he had a very difficult job in that game, and the reason we went out was not down to him.
No, it wasn't. I think there was one moment maybe you could say that he should have probably just scythed Ronaldinho down when he was running through the entire England defence. But there have been so many errors in that game leading up to that moment when Rivaldo scored anyway. You can't really blame him for that. But what an outstanding player for England.
And the person who you can blame for that is in goal for you, so that's fine.
No problem. Different year.
My right midfielder,
Yep. Ready for this?
Steve Coppell.
We've done it.
Have we?
Yeah.
We've matched. We were in sync.
Steve Coppell.
Can I ask you why?
I just thought he was brilliant in that England game. He was like, I've heard a lot about Steve Coppell. I'm a Man United fan, and my uncle kind of grew up in the 80s, so Steve Coppell was that real period. You hear a lot about him in terms of like being an old-fashioned winger, head down, running at teams, and I was just shocked almost of how good he actually was, and just an old-fashioned right winger. We've got it in there. What about yourself? Why did you pick him?
I couldn't agree more. I mean,
Yeah.
you basically said it there. Also, because his name was mentioned so much as Steve Coppell.
I know I loved
And
it. The French commentary was brilliant, wasn't it?
Yeah, I just wanted to hear it again. For those who haven't listened, that is England versus France, World Cup 1982. A fantastic England performance to start off a World Cup against a much fancied French side.
It is.
Do you want to give us your first centre midfielder?
So my first centre midfielder is Brian Robson.
We've done it again.
Yes.
Same game.
Going in.
Same game, and just an incredible performance. One of the premier performances of the first 11 games is Brian, like one of the premier individual performances.
And
Brian
England
Robson.
performances, and he contributes
That's
to,
true.
and he gives England that platform, doesn't he? Him and Ray Wilkins, who may or may not make it into this 11, both play very well in that game. They keep a very, very good French team at bay, a French team that would go on to form the Magic Square and become almost all dominating in the Euros as well. But Brian Robson stood out in that game, scoring 2 goals for England.
He dominated them.
Yeah.
It's a great game. Well worth a listen, if I do say so myself. Who's partnering Brian Robson in your midfield?
In my midfield next to him is Sir Bobby Charlton.
I ummed and ahed.
And ahed over that performance.
He's not made it. You please give me your reasoning why. So this is 1967.
The Scotland game.
Yeah, go on. Why is he in there? Because we lost that game.
We did lose that game, but he was incredible in that game. It's the first time I've actually watched Bobby Charlton like for a full 90 minutes and not just some highlights and goals. And the way he ran with the ball was it's almost like a modern player. The way he swerved and shot, his passing was exemplar. I personally think that's maybe the best England performance we've seen on the pod so far. I thought he was outstanding that day and bang in there in my 11.
I disagree. I just disagree, mate. You said that at the time, but we'd only done 2 episodes, I think, by that point. So you're saying it was the best England performance we'd seen, but we'd only seen 1 game. Anyway, who am I? Who am I?
Who are you putting
your-
in there over Sir Bobby Charlton?
Your own decisions. Okay.
My own correct decisions.
It's a correct opinion.
Yeah.
Paul Scholes, Scotland.
Paul Scholes,
99.
okay.
I mean, again, another shout out for the awfulness that was those Euro 2000.
You've put another one of them in there, haven't you? You just couldn't help yourself.
Paul Scholes in that first leg, he won the game for England and he was great. And just what more can you say? 2 goals completely deciding the game. Paul Scholes, we've seen quite a few good England performances from him. And, not necessarily counting those into this 11.
Yeah.
But I think on the strength of that Scotland game alone, you're putting a Scotland game in Bobby Charlton where his influence was helping us to lose a bit less. For me,
how
without
could
Paul Scholes, England draw that 0-0, but with him, they win 2-0. He scores 2 goals.
What I will also say, though, is that he, along with the rest of the England team, are dog shit in both of those games. He is...
No, he's not dog shit in that game. He scores 2 goals and England win.
All right then. Well, it's just like, Inzaghi didn't really do much, but he scored the 2 goals. It's like, well, both things can be true.
Get him in.
He plays fine in that game. He is
Fine.
He is good.
Fine.
But there is more to like an overall performance rather than the most important thing, which is scoring goals, which I totally understand why he's in there for it, and that is fine.
It was a good performance.
I think it kind of passes the whole England team by that game to me. It was just like football happened to them, and somehow Scotland don't win that game.
This is the first leg.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I suppose you had who missed a million chances for Scotland.
Well, I'd still say that it's the idea of somehow, England, Scholes isn't really involved in the build-up play because England don't have any build-up play in that game, and like the big moments, don't disagree kind of with him being nominated, but to me, we'll get into it, but Bobby Charlton has a better overall performance than Paul Scholes does in that game.
I like this. It's like a debate show, isn't it? We're normally on the same team.
I've been told previously, actually, we agree too much on stuff.
Really?
Yeah, I've been told that we agree too much, so maybe we should be a bit more info
I
wars
agree.
about this.
I agree with you. I was thinking, Alex Jones. Scholes is in, but it's a debate.
Scholes is nominated.
Scholes is in for me.
Yeah, not me.
One thing that we do, we agree on a lot of things allegedly, but one thing we seem to agree on this midfield is not really a holding midfielder in there, is there? None of us went for the Ledley King role.
You mean you didn't want to put in Ledley King, who had that shocker against Argentina in the first game?
I say there's not really a holding midfielder in there, but like England have never really played one.
We've definitely not seen it, haven't we? We've not quite covered the Declan Rice and the Calvin Phillips at this point when we're picking this 11 right now.
Yeah, and if we were looking at that era, it's the Croatia game where the midfield was Delph, Barkley, and somebody else.
Somebody else?
It was a forgotten man midfield, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Ali? Was it Dele Ali?
No, he came on in that game from memory. It was Eric Dyer, wasn't it?
It was Eric Dyer,
yeah,
Ross Barkley, and Fabian Delph. So.
Yeah, none of them have made this in. We've just definitely sorted that out straight away.
Do you want to give us your left midfielder?
So left midfielder, in the broadest terms, I'm putting in Marcus Rashford from the Croatia game.
Snap.
We've both done it.
Yeah.
All right,
left
then.
winger.
Marcus is in there.
Marcus is in there. I mean, what a performance. Unparalleled pace and direct attacking ability. It was crazy. It's sad. I don't think he's ever going to reach those heights again for England. I could be wrong, but a really special performance. And we had to play 4-4-2 for this
because we have to.
Because we have to.
That's what England play.
I'm not sure how well he would work on the left midfield in a 4-4-2, but he was basically playing left of a front three, wasn't he?
But look, this is England. We've just got to fit the players in that we want, and we've just got to plough ahead and not listen to anything. We've got to spend this shit, okay?
I want Paul Scholes on left midfield, actually. Marcus Rashford in the centre. Rashford, Gerrard and Lampard in the centre, please.
That's what we all need. We've got to play 9 centre midfielders, and none of them are going to be Michael Carrick.
Well, once we've given our 11s, we'll amalgamate and create the agreed upon team.
Yeah.
But we're on to the strikers now. I'll go first.
Yep.
Centre forward number 1, Wayne Rooney, Argentina, 2005.
Hello, Wayne.
Hello, Wayne. Does that mean you agree?
No, Wayne is not in my 2 strikers.
That was a great performance from Wayne. Was it a goal and assist, or a nice assist and just general leadership from Wayne?
He definitely scores. He scores the first goal. And are you putting in there because John Motson lost his mind and declared that he was going to win the World Cup for England, basically?
This is why he's so important for England winning the World Cup.
And Michael Owen has also broken some records, but he actually hasn't. Back to you, Gary.
That was the first episode for new listeners. Argentina in a classic friendly from 2005. England win 3-2. Wayne Rooney puts in a really good Wayne Rooney performance, and it was one of those where he was young enough that he didn't have the baggage. Yeah, I agree with that. And any baggage he did have was positive, because it was just the only baggage he really did have was getting injured at a tournament. So it was all fine. I thought he was great in that game.
I thought it was the energy he brought about it, wasn't it? And it was like, it seemed like it was Rooney was just about old enough, like you say, to kind of carry it on. Can he be that missing piece, that spark, that inspiration that England had maybe just missed at the crucial times in big tournaments? And yeah, I thought he was very, very good in that game, and he's not in my team.
Who is?
So the first striker I am putting in is Ian Wright.
I wanted to put Ian Wright in so bad. Is this the San Marino impossible job?
He scores 4 goals in that game and nobody cared. Poor Ian Wright.
Yeah. So, listener context, I really wanted to put in a player from that era, and if it was going to be one, it was going to be Ian Wright.
Yeah.
But we strayed from the norm, as we are doing now, on episodes, I think, 4 and 5. and we covered the
Yeah.
Impossible Job documentary, which was England's failed route to the World Cup 92?
94, yeah.
World Cup 94, sorry. Such a long time ago now.
I know.
But yeah, so we kind of had that whole campaign to pick players from.
Yeah.
Really, we started out wanting to cover just the San Marino game, but realised that the Impossible Job is the best thing that ever happened.
And we were like, actually, is it just more fun to talk over what happened to Graham Taylor? Like we said a while ago, actually, we've got such love for Graham Taylor now after watching it, because he seems like such a genuine person. He cared, probably. He's maybe even like one of the nicest England managers that we've ever had, but he came with his own problems. But I think we take a lot of inspiration and talking points from Impossible Job, because it is just, I think it's one of the best sporting documentaries I've ever watched, because, as you said at the time, the access is unparalleled.
Fucking Paul!
I saw, and I sent you a link a while ago, there is actually a shirt that you can get that is Hitler's when they
Too close to Hitler for me.
Oh, really? You couldn't walk around with that shirt, could you, really?
I'm going to ask you to do an unparalleled second in a row pick, because I think we're going to agree on our
Oh, you
second
know
striker.
what? I don't think we are. I think you need to go next.
Okay.
Come on, then. I want to hear yours.
Picture the scene.
Go on. I'll sit back. Go on.
World Cup 2010. England
Okay.
are facing USA. Wayne Rooney is up front. I've already picked him. Who's he playing up front with? Emil Heskey.
Emil Heskey is going in your England 11.
He had a great game, and we both agreed, and we've already every Heskey game we've covered, he's played pretty good.
Yeah.
And I thought that game in particular, he was really good, and kind of, I think he got subbed, and I felt it was unfair because Rooney wasn't having a great game. But I couldn't deny it, and I thought, well, I basically picked that USA 2010 team, but with a better Rooney.
Yeah,
Up
true.
front.
The forwards, yeah.
So, you know what? I hold my hands up. I was wrong for all these years, because out of the first 11 games that we've covered, Emil Heskey is one of the 2 best striking performances I've seen. Nick, are you going to agree with me?
No.
For God, what? Go on.
So, up front for me,
I know who it is.
I need to say it.
Go on then.
It is Jack Charlton.
No! No! I didn't know who it was. I thought you were going to say Michael Owen.
Jack
2005.
Charlton.
Well-
because he plays up front in more of the game than he plays in defence in the 67 game, and he scores, and he limps around like the back end of a pantomime horse, and he is outstanding in that game.
And that is the real quiz.
That could not be more of a real quiz, could it?
So, did you pick a manager? Did you say to me before we recorded that you picked a manager and a sub?
Yeah, so I just because
I haven't, but off the top of my head, what are you basing your manager pick on? Who you would like to manage, or who do you think was the best manager of this period?
I put it on probably the team they put together, maybe, or the decisions they made that stood out to me the most in a positive way.
Okay, improv, as is the
nature of
the
this,
nature of jazz,
loosey goosey
jazz casting. I will just come up with one on the spot, and I'm going to say Gareth Southgate, 2018.
Okay.
He did a lot with not that much, especially when you look at that midfield, and he's fucking Gareth Southgate, isn't he, mate? Come on.
Just loved by this podcast, isn't he?
Come on. Who's yours?
Mine is Ron Greenwood.
Oh, is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a very good shout.
I thought Ron Greenwood was very, very good, actually, because he put together an England team that put on probably the best complete performance we've seen on these 11
100%.
episodes.
100%.
And actually, he got the balance right, because you had Brian Robson and Ray Wilkins in there, and you had Glenn Hoddle sat on the bench, didn't even make it off the bench, and he was one of those outcries of, you've got to get Glenn Hoddle in the team, and he was totally justified, Mike Bassett-esque in picking the team he did, and England played really well and beat a really good France team. So to me, I'm putting in Ron Greenwood as the one in there.
Ron Greenwood. Any listeners, if you do listen back to that France episode that we've already referenced, keep an eye out for a little blooper, a cheeky little blooper at the start from 1JH. So now we're going to go through and pick like an agreed upon team, right?
Yeah, I mean, I put in a unlucky player to miss out for me. I mean, you don't have to pick this person as well.
If you go for yours, I'll try and think while you're talking.
So the person...
Sorry, it can be in any position.
Yeah.
Okay,
so it's kind of like a sub of like, well, this guy, how has he not made it in there? And for me, it has to be David Platt. David Platt was like the only good player when England failed to qualify for the USA 94. He starts the campaign by giving the captain's armband. He scores all the goals, basically, apart from when Ian Wright scores 4 in the last game. He then gets the captaincy taken off him by Graham Taylor when Graham Taylor visits him after getting battered in America in the friendlies. And he goes over to watch him in pre-season for Sampdoria. He takes the armband off him and gives it to Stuart Pearce. Stuart Pearce then gets injured, so David Platt's back as captain.
You've rehearsed this bit, right?
Nope. And David Platt also gets brought down. Koeman should be sent off, and everything changes for Graham Taylor right there. So David Platt, I thought, very unlucky not to make it in somewhere, but I don't really know where David Platt played. I think he was a forward, kind of a 10, but not really. It's a bit awkward. What's your thoughts now that I've mused over David Platt?
Jesse Lingard. I'm joking. He did score in the game that we covered, didn't he?
It was from half a yard out. David Nugent-esque.
Okay, I have 2 in mind. Jordan Pickford. Although he had a fucking... At the start of that game, do you remember what he did?
Oh, that mad. Oh, didn't he do like a short kick out and then he ran out and just put his chest on the floor, basically?
I'm going to go with my actual pick now after 2 false flags. Michael Owen, Argentina, 2005.
Yeah.
I couldn't have picked 2 strikers from the same game.
Overall, though, Michael Owen, we've seen a couple of instances of him. Obviously, the Brazil 2002 game, and he pretty much only does one thing in the game. It's kind of when he scores, it's almost like a tap in for him. But it's maybe the best tap-in I've ever seen because he took that time with a little bit more care, and he kind of, when he goes to shoot and the Brazil goalkeeper goes down, and he just takes that millisecond more to let him go onto the floor and then just chips it into the centre of the goal, and he's so alive when he takes that chance. I thought he was brilliant to do that.
Yeah, and he was... Let's not forget that the catalyst for this whole show was the Argentina.
It was indeed,
and that's kind of the Michael Owen show.
It is, but the last 2 minutes, eventually, yeah.
Right, let's whittle it down. Then we've got 11 players we've got to agree upon.
Yeah.
Okay, our goalkeepers. Can you remind me of the 2?
So the 2 we're going with is either Banks 67 if we're doing years and Seaman 99. I'd kind of forgotten about the good save that Gordon Banks made in that game. I don't think he really does much else, although he does have a really weird moment. Do you remember when he rolls it out to a fullback and the fullback does the slowest step over in the world, as you said, and falls over, gives it to a Scotland player, and then they cross it and Dennis Law misses like a really good chance.
I think, and this just shows what a great bloke I am.
Oh, yeah.
If you're looking at it from this perspective, excuse me, David Seaman played Scotland twice and let in 1 goal. Mm-hmm. Gordon Banks played Scotland once and let in 3. We have to go with David.
Are we going with statistics? Are we going to be the eggheads? The big brains have decided.
Some decisions will be made on heart, but in this one, I think we go with the head and we go with David Seaman.
Some other decisions will be false.
So Dave's in.
He's in.
We've agreed. It's a cold-hearted decision, not an easy one to make, Gordon. But get out. We got a right back to pick then. Who are the options?
So the options are Kyle Walker from 2018 or Mick Mills from, I think it was the Northern Ireland game. I think we said he was in from.
Yeah, listen to that if you want. Listen, but it's fucking shit.
The game, not the episode.
Episode's fine, but I mean, really, you could probably do something better with your time. Mick Mills probably has to go in because I sneakily snuck him in as a centre-back when I know he's a right-back because I wanted him in there so much.
Well, I think he may even play... I want to say he plays left back at the France game as well. So I think we see him play twice, but I think he is playing 2 different positions. I may be wrong, but he's also England captain in one of those as well. And
I mean, as much as we gushed about Kyle Walker in that episode, I think let's get Mick in.
Mick, all right, we've made a decision, decision.
Yeah, it's got to be. I mean,
we won't be fannying about. We've put him in.
He's a rare player when there's 2 of them who are in twice.
In different positions. Yeah. One of them
Spain has to be the manager of this team.
One of them he doesn't play.
Centre-backs then. Should we give 4 and then we whittle it down to 2?
So the 4 to pick from are Mick Mills.
Okay, well, we've got 3 to pick from then.
Another one's Jack Charlton, who I've got up front. And not to get forward, I think it's only fitting that Jack Charlton plays up front, if I'm honest. I think he plays most of his game up there. It's the only time we've seen him. He scores. I think
we haven't picked our slugs 11, the rest of the world yet, but are you fancying Jack Charlton against them?
Yeah. Have you seen Jack Charlton? Even on one leg?
I think we should have him as a centre-back.
I don't know if he plays there though. I'm not sure. In terms of what we've seen, we can only go on the evidence shown.
Okay, so my 2 are out, so we've got to go with your 2.
That's more like it.
Okay. So everyone so far, if we pick those 2, is your team.
The thing is though, when we look at like a bit further on, our other options.
No. We were at the centre backs, mate.
Are we not picking a balanced team because we're England?
I'm gonna die on the hill that we need Jack in there.
I think we need him in there. Do you think we need him in there as a
Not
centre
as
half?
a fucking striker, as a centre half. Yeah. Yes.
Right.
You don't seem convinced.
I just wanted Jack Charlton up front. I know I've done the joke that he's playing there, but I've kind of thought because
But like
our other options.
If it's 1-1 with like 10 minutes to go, stick him up front.
Oh, then you send him up.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I mean. He's a secret weapon.
That's a very good point, actually.
Secret weapon.
Don't tell the slugs.
Slugs
right.
famously have good hearing. So is he in?
Jack Charlton's in.
Yes.
At centre half. I would say Martin Keown's the other one to play there.
Out to Tony Adams and Keown.
Yeah.
Martin Keown. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. He had a very good game.
He did have a very good game. As we said, got injured, so we couldn't play the second leg. We then move on to the left back, which is Ashley Cole or Emlyn Hughes.
Okay. I feel like I've led the debates so far when it comes down to this. So what's going on in your mind at this point?
I'd still say Emlyn Hughes because I think you said that you put Cole in there out of more respect than anything else in terms of that. And I thought Emlyn Hughes did play quite well. It's a bit of an unorthodox left back really when you look at Hughes and how he played. And
it's fine.
but I don't think he ever let England down at that point. I think the problems came from something we'll come to later on.
It's fine, mate. It's fine. You give me these little, nuggets and expect me to be happy, but I know what's going on here.
Oh yeah.
Nick 11, and the manager is me. Okay, let's give the audience a little bit of a recap then, top to bottom so far.
So we've got David Seaman, Mick Mills, Martin Keown, Jack Charlton, Emlyn Hughes.
Jack Charlton's in.
Jack Charlton's in. That's all you need now, isn't it? That was it.
Come on. On to the midfield then.
So
and David Beckham is nowhere to be seen.
Nowhere to be seen.
How surprising is that?
His positional sense has led him off the pitch and out of our selection.
Absolutely.
But we've already got 2 picked for us, actually. So we've got Steve Coppell, as we say, and Brian Robson, who both make it in from the 82 game. So
Great.
They are both in. The other option now, alongside Brian Robson and Steve Coppell, is Bobby Charlton or Paul Scholes. I'm dying on this hill of how good Bobby Charlton was in that game.
Can I just say, I'm happy to accept it. I want 2 Charltons in there.
Yeah,
I would take 2 Nevilles if we had them, but we don't. So let's get the brothers in.
Yeah,
Bobby and Jack.
give me a team full of Charltons.
Linking up, and that's fine. And
Excellent.
I'm glad we've agreed on a couple, so it's not all just you. I basically picked this team.
Oh yeah, of course you did. Yeah,
Left midfield. Then who have we got? Oh, we agreed, didn't we?
Marcus Rashford.
Okay.
So Marcus is in there as well. So Marcus is in our 11 on the left. So we do move on to the forwards now. So we've taken Jack Charlton out of selection. And we have now got the option of 3. So we've got Ian Wright from 1993 when he scored 4 goals against San Marino. We've got Wayne Rooney and we've got Emil Heskey. I think you're going to die on the hill of Heskey was good.
No. Let's get Ian and Wayne up top.
Okay, yeah, I'll go with that.
That's a head decision.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I wouldn't die on the hill of Heskey. I thought he played really well. Maybe he becomes my player who's unlucky to miss out. England's 11 from the Is This England first 11 episodes, the prestigious title.
Oh, yeah.
Let's hear it from top to bottom, Nick.
So we've got David Seaman, Mick Mills, Martin Keown, Jack Charlton, Emlyn Hughes, Steve Coppell, Brian Robson, Bobby Charlton, Marcus Rashford, Wayne Rooney, and Ian Wright. That's not a bad team, actually, if you sat down. It's very attacking.
Yeah.
But it's a good team, I think.
And our manager is going to be Ron, I think.
You're going to put Ron in there?
Yeah, there's time for Gareth.
Yeah,
there's time for Gareth. I think
he may be.
I think he may be our manager for the next time we do this after 22 episodes.
I mean, you're not putting Sven in?
Nah.
We got a couple of weeks until we think about that again, haven't we? Really.
And our unlucky players were Owen and Platt.
I think David Platt, just because it's so
fitting.
fitting.
Just because you picked him, so that's fine.
Well, I think because it's so unlucky that he's not in there, and he was so good throughout that qualifying tournament. Is the only good thing.
Yeah, it's good to have a bit of representation. I know we've got Ian in, but give Taylor another player. Platt's in.
He's in.
Okay.
We move on.
And that was Fun, wasn't it? Well done, Nick. You picked our team.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I can get a few more of these guys past you. I think we already agree on the goalkeeper for Slugs 11. So we're looking at the players who played against England, and we've said quite a lot actually throughout the episodes. How much we fall in love with opposition teams that we've covered.
Yeah, I
There's
definitely.
been some really great ones that we'll touch upon. Goalkeeper, do you want to say it after 3, 2, 1? So 3, 2, 1, go. Then say it. 3, 2, 1, go.
Tomaszewski.
Fuck that up,
Couldn't
didn't you?
wait. I couldn't wait.
Tomaszewski.
I had to get him in.
Explain why.
One of the craziest yet brilliant goalkeeping performances I think we'll ever see. He was the star attraction of the whole game. He's what the game's remembered for. It's what it's focused around. They talk about it after when Clough makes a bit of a dick of himself when he says that he's a clown. He keeps saying that he's a clown. And I love that episode, actually. I think that's one probably the favourite episode that we've ever done that I've listened to. I've listened back a couple of times since it's been released as well. Yeah. And actually, I think that him in that, he actually makes 2 world-class saves. He's not just coming out and he's entertaining and he's running off his line and whatever. I just think he's brilliant in that game for ill or for the better.
Well, it was the Tomaszewski episode, wasn't he?
Yeah.
There was no chance. I feel like he's the main reason we decided to do this episode.
Yeah,
So we can
pretty
just talk
much.
about him again.
Yeah, really.
Amazing performance. What a crazy episode and what a crazy game. Is your unlucky to miss out player a goalkeeper, or can we talk about who might be the second choice goalkeeper from this?
Oh, mine's not a goalkeeper, actually.
I can't even think. Who would be a second. I asked that without actually thinking of it.
I don't think there's any. Can't remember any really standout performances from goalkeepers that we've seen on the opposition, aside from the best one we'll probably ever see.
Yeah, listeners, if you have listened and you think we've missed out on a sub goalie, let us know. Do you want to give us a right back?
Yeah.
These guys are playing 4-4-2 for me as well. I don't know if you picked it like that.
Oh, I've got a 4-3-3. I have.
Okay.
We'll
We'll start. I
flex.
might be able to. Yeah. I think I can make mine a 4-3-3 quite easy.
Let's see how it goes. So right back, I am putting in Cafu.
Okay. Now,
Well, this could be weird if you've not put Cafu in.
I did put Cafu in, but I took him out, and
Okay.
I'll get 2 for why later.
I'll tell you for why.
And
Yes.
I'll get 2 for why now because my left back kind of played in the same team, and I didn't want to pick the same. I didn't want to overload it, so I've gone with Sammy McIlroy because
Sammy McIlroy. Sammy McIlroy didn't play right back, did he?
that's what it said on the website that I saw.
Well,
Well, I'm not expecting
maybe
him to
it's
get
right.
in.
Actually, maybe he's kind of like he played on the right of midfield, didn't he, in that Northern Ireland game? So that's quite. But they played a 5 across the midfield and a back 3, so it's kind of a wing back. So
Yeah, that's what I meant.
yeah, so you got McIlroy. and just lobbing him in there into the shared document that we're using for this behind the scenes. But yeah, we go right. Sammy McIlroy at right back or Cafu. We've got a decision at some point, haven't we?
Well, it was hard to pick one.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
And I just remember hearing his name said a couple of times on the commentary, and that was pretty much it. Like, that's pretty much it. And also, it's hard to find who actually played where. I looked at websites.
That Northern Ireland game, it is definitely.
I actually looked at the websites where they store the starting 11s rather than our notes, because you like look at it and lay it out as it's supposed to be. I think these websites are wrong, so he's probably not a right back, but there you go, that's fine. He's up against Cafu, so
Yeah, let's see how that one plays out.
I'll go with a centre back if that's okay.
Yeah, centre halves.
Gorgon.
Snap.
It had to be, didn't it? Alongside Tomaszewski, the sole reason Poland were able to withstand the onslaught of England in that game. They called him the Big Red Wall, didn't they?
Yeah, the Big Red Wall himself. Yeah, I think they kind of referred to Poland as that, but it's him leading the wall, and they call him that at points as well. I thought he was fantastic in that game. It seems like he blocked or kicked away or kicked people in every single minute of that game almost, that Tomaszewski wasn't doing his stuff.
Definitely. So he's a nailed on.
Yeah, he's in.
I think our second centre back is going to be a nailed on as well.
Ooh,
Do you want to go with yours first?
Oh, I don't think you'll have picked this one.
Go on.
I'm picking in Ed Milson from the Brazil game.
Okay. Let's hear it. Let's hear the justification.
I thought Ed Milson was very good. He played in that back 5 with Cafu and Carlos. He was kind of like the floating defender who played, I think he was with Lucio and Rocky Jr. he was kind of playing as a sweeper, so he was behind them, and then all of a sudden when they needed to overflow the midfield, he would follow forward as well. It wasn't like he was outstanding. I just thought he was what Brazil needed in that game, actually, to take control of it. So I thought he stood out to me in that way.
Well, you do have a lot of defensive work to do in that team, don't you, really?
Yeah.
I know you've got great fullbacks and everything like that, but yeah, he had a lot to do. My centre-back is Ronald Koeman.
Koeman, that's a very, very good pick, that, isn't it? Yeah, the bastard.
Well, he was an absolute bastard in this. Listeners will remember the pinnacle, the peak of the impossible job was not the San Marino game that we started to cover, but the Holland game, the Netherlands game.
Yeah.
And he, he scored, didn't he? Mm-hmm. And, it's not a great thing that he should have got sent off but didn't. But drama and a goal, a centre-back, Ronald Koeman, I think I feel quite smug about putting him in. And
he scores two different types of free kicks in that game as well.
He scores two free kicks. I forgot if I just scored one.
Yeah, because he scores he attempts to score one. So he has a shot laid back and he smashes it. And I think Paul Ince blocks it from about a yard out and they make him retake it. And then he tries a totally different free kick technique and he flicks it over the wall. I think Brian Moore even says, he's going to flick it. He's going to flick it. Yeah, it's in. Or something like that. It's there. As like
he's
the Brian Moore.
He's flicked it. He's flicked it.
It's so good. There's something I want to come on to actually later on. Of like maybe have a think about it when we're doing it. Is there like a commentary moment that stood out to you? Maybe I think there's.
Well, if we had to pick a commentator, I know who's getting that seat.
Oh yeah, definitely. But like, is there kind of like a moment where you thought that was just amazing? Because I think one of the things we really like about the show is that we drop in little clips about like the games we've watched and all that, and I think that's just such a nice thing to go back and hear. But yeah, I think Koeman is very good. We'll maybe slightly debate that later. But left back is our next one, and I think you've already shown your hand when you said that you've wanted to put a left back from the Brazil game in there. Roberto Carlos is my one as well.
Yeah, I feel like in that game he did some good stuff. I think he started the equalising goal for Brazil, but he was a fear factor. There was a lot of Brazil players who were a fear factor in that game. And just the presence of Roberto Carlos, who had a great game in general, but he just carried himself like a flipping man who was going to win the World Cup in a couple of weeks, like as quite a lot of them did. So I'm glad we agree on that one. I didn't think there was much debate. I can't even think of a second choice.
No, I thought he was amazing in that game. And it wasn't that he was outstanding in certain moments. It was just that he was consistent and he was just constantly pushing England back. And as the game built, I think both the fullbacks, Carlos especially, kind of just took England down. And it was weird to see like wing backs or fullbacks, whatever you want to call them, do that to a whole team. And it was like the pressure from them actually stopped England doing anything in that game, really.
Absolutely. Okay, we're on to the midfield. I think I've adapted mine to a 4-3-3 now. It's quite an attacking 4-3-3 now.
Mine is so attacking, my three midfielders. It is ridiculous. There's no Makelele role in here.
I've got someone who could maybe sit at the base.
Okay, you go for that then.
Luka Modric.
Okay.
Nations League 2018. Didn't have his best game, but he wasn't exactly off the pace. You know, I remember there were periods in that game. We got quite frustrated with England in that game because they kind of he was starting attacks. He was like winning the ball. England again, like I said with Carlos, there was a fear factor around Modric. I think he'd just won the Ballon d'Or.
It's around that period where he becomes like one of the best players around. I think because he's so close to winning the World Cup at that point as well and losing the final, and it's one of the next couple of games where they go into the Nations League. And Modric is in my team as well, actually, if we're going to look at dictating, because in that game, England didn't let Croatia dominate the ball until they went behind. And actually, England played worse when they ended up going behind. And Modric was just nipping in, taking the ball from players, playing those little passes, tiring England out again, which he's done so many times. So he's in mine as well, so he's a certain too.
Okay, so we both agree on Modric. You can give us your second midfielder then.
My second midfield in this very top-heavy one is Dana from the Poland game. The captain, the number 10. I thought he was outstanding in that game. It felt like he was the only player who was kind of looked like he'd been transported in from the modern day. The way he just kind of went across the grass, the way he carried the ball, his passing was excellent. And yeah, for me, he was one of the outstanding players of that game. Along with, no one's going to take the mantle from Tomaszewski about being man of the match, but in terms of a Poland game with Gorgon as well, I think those three kind of really stood out from Poland from other good performances, but Dana fantastic in my opinion.
Very, very good shout. I have my second midfield. Actually, before I get on to it,
Yeah.
very good shout.
Okay.
I'm kind of gutted I missed. I think he's a 30 for our team, which is playing 4-3-3 against 4-4-2 because you're continental and you think you fancy. No.
We'll see.
Riquelme.
Riquelme is in mine as well,
Is
actually.
he?
Yeah. So Riquelme is agreed upon, actually.
I don't know whether that was. I think he played quite well, but I don't know whether it was the comment from John Watson where he said, Riquelme is the man who Argentina operate around at this point. And I was just like, that is mental.
Yeah.
That is mental because Messi is already playing football. I know he wasn't on the team or on the bench, but it's just like, I don't know. Riquelme, it's a great player, someone good to have. He had a decent game. It was hard to pick a midfield. And I'd thought with Modric and Riquelme, I don't know. It's just tasty, isn't it? That
I think we were...
fucking tasty, baby.
I think with Riquelme, he was great in that game. At points, he's like just like putting the ball through England players' legs. He's dictating the whole thing. And then when he comes off the pitch, it all kind of falls apart for Argentina because they can't keep hold of the ball. He's the person who's supposed to be leading them to like look after the game, and they can't even look after him.
He's the man who they operate around.
As Motson said,
Yeah.
But when you look at someone like Riquelme and what happened in the 2006 World Cup, they bring him off in similar circumstances and they end up losing a goal. They go to penalties, they go out. So important for Argentina. And I thought he was great in that game personally. So I think we've got two certains in midfield. So that means there's only one left for you to pick.
Michel Platini.
Michel Platini, okay.
Not the best game, but he did show flashes. And I just thought, you remember when he looked very French after half time? And I thought
he had his like shorts on. He looked good.
How cultured is a midfield of Modric, Riquelme, and Platini?
That is headline. That is an absolute headline, isn't it? Yeah, I mean Platini there. He's another stranger. He's kind of in that David Platt. Don't really know where he played, but he's in two positions.
Yeah, I did originally have a 4-4-2, and he was on the left midfield.
Of course, you had a 4-4-2.
Yeah, but now he's like I'm thinking Modric is holding, and Riquelme and Platini
are doing none of the work. They're just going forward.
Yeah, I think Riquelme could do a bit of work, a little bit, but Platini's he's got that free role. It was an amazing game. It for him because England was so good and he was really outshone by Brian Robson.
Yeah,
but he did have a few flashes, and we spoke at length about his career afterwards. I tried to judge it just on what we saw, and there may have been better options. I'm sure you're going to give me one now, but
mine was Dana. So Dana is mine against Platini. Is what we're going to talk. Is what we're going to have a look at in a bit. But we move on to a forward three.
Okay.
Now.
Do you want to go first?
So my forward three, starting on the right, is Lato from the Poland game. A quick bastard is what he was, and a busy bugger as well.
Yeah. The commentator was like, and let's not forget he can run 100 meters in 9.6 seconds or something like that.
Oh, mate, what about that commentator? That commentator was one of my favourite people that is ever going to appear on the podcast. It's when he just went, some strange looking names, and he just made this statement because they were just a different language to what he was used to.
I wish I was prepared for the favourite commentary moment of the episode.
It's up there, isn't it?
Yeah, that guy's whole night is up there. But what was your man's name again? I'm sorry, I forgot. Lato. Okay, that's a good shout.
So that's my right winger because I think he scored. No, he doesn't score the goal, but he is just so busy throughout the entire game, and a lot of that Poland team are great. Even though England probably should have won that game by a couple of clear goals, there's like weird, good performances put in there by Poland, by their golden generation, another one we've talked about.
Yeah, absolutely. My first pick, I'm not sure if this guy played right or left, and I think at some point he's going to be in. I'm going to pick Ronaldinho.
Ronaldinho, okay. He's not in mine.
Really?
No, he's not in my 11.
Mate, that Brazil game, he was the one. Like, he was the one, and... scored a great goal. One of the, I don't know how much you thought of it prior to going into the recording, but I kind of thought of it as a fluke. I see it now as one of the best World Cup goals perhaps ever, definitely since 2000. And there's been some great ones, but it's up there with the Pavards and all these Ronaldo goals and everything like that. He came to the fore in that game, man. I know it was Ronaldo's tournament as well. And I
Yeah.
don't think Ronaldinho ever had a tournament like that for Brazil.
No, I
like
wouldn't
what
say.
Ronaldo did.
Not on like the World Cup stage. No.
But in that one game, England was so focused elsewhere, and it just let him do his business, and he was killing it, man.
And he makes
was
that
killing
he
it.
makes that goal for Rivaldo as well, doesn't he? He runs past a load of England players and does really well. He obviously scores the goal. He's obviously sent off in that game.
Oh shit!
unless we
Yeah,
forget.
I'm judging him off like an hour.
Yeah, but well, there you go. He's an hour and a very harsh red card. If you remember that 2002 Brazil game as well.
Did all he need to do. It's like Jimi Hendrix,
Yeah,
in and out.
just left when he was on top.
I've done my bit. See you later.
Yeah.
Okay. So, do you want me to go next?
We've got 2 forward spaces left to fill, so 2 each.
I'll go on again.
Wherever you want.
I've had to readjust. I've had to be adaptable. Left of a front three. I've gone for Rivaldo.
Rivaldo, yeah, okay.
Also, scored in that game, right?
You did, yeah. Ronaldinho set him up for that.
And
just on half time.
Yeah, it's that pre-fear factor, and just watching. He was so confident in that game, and I know I've just bigged up Ronaldinho to the point where I've almost made Rivaldo seem like obsolete.
Yeah.
But I mean, I haven't got Ronaldo in my team.
No, he didn't really do much in that game, did he?
That's what I mean. And just like I don't know. He was there, and England were just so scared of him.
Yeah.
And he came up trumps when it mattered. So I put him in. And
Yeah, it was a really good finish from him as well. First time, strokes it home into the bottom corner, right on half time when England just needed to see the game out, really, didn't it, at that
And
point?
also, he's a man who always looks old. I mean, how old was he?
Forever old, isn't
How
he?
old was he at that point? He's probably about 23, but he looked about 45.
He's probably like 28 around that point. But
I was watching, I was
but
like,
yeah.
God, this old guy is doing really well.
I think it's because he played so much later into his career, like Olympiacos and other clubs as well. I think he even played with his son back in Brazil too,
Wow.
which is a great thing. Like few players can ever say they've done that.
I mean, call me cliche, but I've picked 2 Brazilians in my front three.
It's a couple of Brazilians all around this place, isn't there? Well, one of my ones, I'll be surprised if you not put it in, is Dennis Law.
Okay.
So Law is in my team. He's playing up front, and I thought he was magnificent in that Scotland game. He's taken the mick at times. He's just running with the ball. He's out wide. He's in the middle. I think you compared him to Salah, which I think is a really good like comparison to like the modern day. There's times where he's like just trying to chip Gordon Banks, which we've talked about as well.
You're not wrong. He's my centre forward. I don't even know if he played there, but like
Yeah, he's all over the pitch, isn't he,
I want
really?
him in the middle because
Yeah.
that's probably one of the best performances, if not the best performance of any player I've seen on the podcast. Is episode 2, I think, with Dennis Law, just absolutely killing it. And I've got Ronaldinho and Rivaldo either side of him. Oh my God, I'm rubbing my hands in glee.
Oh, it's a salivation,
But
isn't
that
it?
means there's only one space left up for grabs. And I think, does that mean it's guaranteed for you?
No. So this will be against Rivaldo.
Okay.
My player to put forward is Bobby Lennox from the Scotland game. I actually think that was the best performance that I've seen on the pod so far. I thought he ran at England in a way that terrified them. His passing was excellent. He made so many chances. I think he may have even set up one of the goals. Just an all-round brilliant Scotland performance in general.
Was it his debut?
I don't think it was his debut. I think he only got 10 caps for Scotland.
That was it. It was like one of his only games rather than his debut.
And he just ran the show. He was part of Celtic's European Cup winning team as well. And he's one of the players, I think we watched the video after it as well as them all talking, sat around and just like saying, oh, wasn't it great the day we became world champions? And yeah, it's Lennox for me because I'd never heard of him. And I just started watching the game and you kind of look at the numbers and go, right, who's that player? Oh, he's done that again. He's done it again. and he is just taking the piss out of England at times. So yeah, Lennox is the one I'm putting forward to be part of that front three.
Absolutely. Let's create the ultimate slugs 11.
Let's go back.
So our goalkeeper is a Surtee.
Tomaszewski.
Sir Tomaszewski, we love you so much.
You're not a clown.
You're not a clown. You're a great man. Well done.
Yep.
You're number 1. Okay.
He's in.
Right back.
Right
Cafu.
back is...
Cafu. He's not Sammy McElroy. It's Cafu. It's Cafu.
Didn't play there, so it's fine. Gorgon, we've agreed on.
Yep.
Roberto Carlos, we've agreed on.
Yep.
And it is between Koeman and Ed Milson.
gotta be Koeman.
I think Koeman is a great shout because he is such a central figure to that to that game as well, and to that whole documentary. He's the villain of the piece. He is also the hero for the Netherlands.
Absolutely. Okay, let's a quick recap then of the goalkeepers and defence, please.
Tomaszewski, Cafu, Gorgon, Koeman, and Roberto Carlos. And we've also both agreed on Luka Modric.
Oh, really?
Both
I mean,
agreed
I know
on
I've been in the room and we spoke about it, but yeah, okay. So Modric is in there. I think this is going to be a really good team.
Riquelme is in there as well. We've both said Riquelme is a very good player, and
So
we thought he performed well. So
It's just Platini or
Dana.
well, what do you think?
I
Probably got to be Dana. As
I think Dana had
Yeah.
the better game. Platini's got the name value, but Dana, the captain
Yeah.
of that team, and they'd done all that kind of stuff
I'm
as
not going to
well.
argue with him going in. He was brilliant in that
Yeah.
game. I think I remember saying at the time that he was like modern football.
It is, yeah,
You
yeah.
know, like, and the others were kind of, you could tell it was the 70s or what have you. But yeah, it's a good team. So
I know.
don't know if England are going to do it, mate.
What,
up
for you mean Jack Charlton? No, he's going to have to go up front at some point, isn't he?
Up front, then we've got Dennis Law.
Dennis Law is guaranteed there wherever he wants to play because he's the
Yeah,
king.
yeah.
And we've got a comparison here. So we've got Ronaldinho and we've got Lato. We can kind of change these up in
Yeah,
comparison.
yeah.
So we've got 4 players to choose from. We've got 2 that we've got to pick. So it's Ronaldinho, Lato, Rivaldo, or Lennox.
I would say Lennox and Ronaldinho.
I would definitely think Lennox is in
Lennox
there.
is definitely in. I don't think. I mean, we straight up compared him to Rivaldo when we did the, the player by player, and I completely forgot how good he was. But as soon as you said the name, I was like, he's in.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
in.
And Ronaldinho and Lato then?
I mean, Ronaldinho scored an absolute worldie.
He did. It's funny that goal doesn't get talked about in terms of like what a great goal, because it's still clouded with such did he mean
Yeah,
it?
yeah, yeah.
But
he just did.
if you just kind of like slow it all down and look at it and go, you know what? What if he meant it? And you just watch it as in maybe he meant it. I think you look at it totally different. You just go, what a piece of skill to see that. And I'm still on the idea of like, you can kind of blame David Seaman, but not actually that much. And I know I've picked him in my 11, which is why I'm sticking up for David Seaman, but I don't think you really can blame him a lot in that. So I think it's very close with them, but Ronaldinho had the bigger impact on the game of knocking England out and scoring and assisting in the game. So I'll happily have Ronaldinho
I think
in
your
that.
man threatened more than actually did.
He kind of wore them down, didn't he, more than anything.
Whereas Ronaldinho was decisive in and out.
Bug it
A
off.
goal and assist, right?
That is so Ronaldinho as well, isn't it? Like the party man himself, just like, yep, I've just come in, done my business, I'm off to Rio.
You guys have got this right because I'm meeting a bird down the pub in a bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be great though. I mean, do you
Not
want to
that
come?
he's
Do you want to come?
Not that he's ever been to a pub. He would never say I'm going to the pub. All right then. We've got our 11, do we?
Yeah, shall I read it back?
Yes, please.
We've got Tomaszewski in goal, our king, and we've got Cafu, Gorgon, Koeman, Roberto Carlos, and attacking midfield of Modric, Dana, and Riquelme, and then up front Ronaldinho, Lennox, and Law. Fantastic. Is there a kind of a manager that stuck out to you in terms of like maybe there was a really good performance from a manager or the way they've set up? Because I looked and I thought, you know what? Scolari, the way he actually managed that England game, and they went down to 10 men and England didn't lay a glove on them in the whole game. They had 10 men and they just went, you know what? We're going to keep the same thing. We're just going to bring Ronaldo off and the rest of the team is just going to be solid.
Very strong argument, but can I counter with Craig Brown?
Craigie Brune.
Craigie Brown.
Okay. Well, he changed the tactics up on Keegan and Keegan had no idea what was going on.
He's he just looks lovely, doesn't he? He looks lovely and hard.
Yeah.
And
It's a good combo.
I mean,
Scolari looks quite lovely and hard, I'd say,
they're
as
kind
well.
of similar looking without a mustache. You can take the mustache off Scolari. But I have no argument with Scolari. My only thing would be Craig Brown. You know, it's a great victory when in the second leg when they beat England.
And it's remembered really well. I know you looked at a lot of articles around the time about that, and it's still remembered in Scotland really well the day they came to England and won at Wembley, even though they didn't go through. It was a really interesting game like that too. I think the player I've got that's unlucky to miss out would be Willie Wallace from the Scotland game. Even though there's probably players that like Lato, I'd probably say should be on the bench more than anybody else there. But yeah, I thought Willie Wallace played well from him, and just a great name.
Yeah, a great name, as you said.
I'd probably say Lato because he's somehow missed out on this 11. But
yeah, Ronaldo. Didn't do much, but
He didn't-
he is Ronaldo.
But it is that Ronaldo, isn't it? You kind of think. Yeah, I think it's up for debate with those, isn't it?
Well, listener, there's not really much more to add.
There's one thing I want to talk to you about.
There's
though.
one thing I want to talk to you about, brother. Go on.
It is, what's your best commentary moment?
Oh, of course, yeah. Give me yours, and I'll have a quick think while you're giving me yours.
If this isn't yours, I will be stunned. So it is John Motson in the England-Argentina game when all hell breaks loose.
And he forgets about the records.
Well, I think it's the third goal that I'm thinking of. So it's when I remember when we were watching it back, but I think I didn't know if it was before we recorded it or not. But it's way that David Beckham nearly scores, and John Motson just shouts like he's in a car crash, and he just goes Beckham, and he just smashes him out the way, and then it goes up the other end of the pitch, and Argentina need to get a penalty. Goes at the other end, Michael Owen scores, and it is bedlam, that England game. It is the thing that's kind of made us look at Motson again and go, what a commentator, and so passionate.
My favourite is Motson. It's probably in the same minute. It might even be the same moment. But where he's like, and Michael Owen has broken the record. It's not our record. It's for competitive goals. Well, it's not a competitive game.
I mean, I have made that up, but still.
Yeah. But I'm sure. And we call it extra time over here, don't we? But it's stoppage time. But the Americans would call it, he's just lost his mind.
Yeah, he's just broken his brain, hasn't he?
And I think if we were to create a commentary team, I would have him and the solo man from Poland.
Oh my God! Could you imagine that? Is there anyone on co-coms that you've enjoyed? I mean, I'm obviously going to pick Trevor Brooking because he's a beautiful boy.
Yeah, probably Brooking. To be fair,
I always like Trevor Brooking as a co-coms. I don't think we've had many We've had a lot of weird solo commentators, like they're in a cupboard themselves talking to each other.
Would you not have just calm down?
Oh, presenter. Do you really want to throw back to Adrian Charles
in the studio?
Back to Adrian Charles now, so we can all just jump out of a window. Yeah, brilliant.
Well, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Who's going to win this game?
Ooh, I don't know. I don't fancy England's chances. No. I think they're going to have to put Jack Charlton up front at some point.
I think
and make a weird substitution. Like we've seen, there's a lot of weird substitution rules throughout the time, isn't there?
England go 1-0 up after 5 minutes.
Oh, you know what? That's the thing that I've learned more on this podcast, and English arrogance, all that kind of stuff. England score early quite a lot in big games, and it buggers them up for the rest of the game.
Next time it happens, I'm just leaving.
Yeah,
because I know
what in real life.
In real life, if we go to the semi-finals of Qatar and take a 1-0 lead against Brazil after 10 minutes, I'm going to go, see you later, lads.
Yep,
I've had enough.
Won't get any better than this.
Yeah, it won't get any better than this. I'm going to go home and take advantage.
And cry.
Yeah, all the food places are going to be dead, and they're going to be buzzing for my service.
Oh, get your order in early.
Yeah.
Big order.
Well, Nick, thank you very much. Was this England? I don't even know. It wasn't even. Is this England?
No. There's just a little bonus in there, isn't it? A little fun one.
If you do want to get in touch with the show, you can do. isthisenglandpod@gmail.com. You can also find us on Instagram and Twitter at @isthis_England. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you soon.
Stranger, that's what time can do. Baby, you mean everything to me. Darling, there's no danger with all that we've been